You might be in the right kingdom business assignment, but doing it the wrong way. If so, you are probably struggling in your business and asking the quintessential question, what's wrong? Why isn't it working? So, how do you determine the right business model or the right way of doing business? If you are serious about learning how to go from struggling to success and from success to significance by implementing the right business model for your business, then this video is for you. Transforming your business from struggling to success and from success to significance. As I've said many times, Christian business people struggle in business for one of three reasons. They're in the wrong business or doing the wrong thing. Two, they're in the right business for the wrong reasons, generally selfish reasons. Or three, they're in the right business using the wrong business model or doing their business the wrong way. It's this last malady, the wrong business model, that I want to talk to today, because I believe this is the most predominant reason Christian business people struggle in their business. And if it makes you feel any better, almost every successful business started out with the wrong business model and then figured out the right way of doing business. In this video, I'm going to give you some famous examples of what I'm talking about that will help you understand the importance of having the right business model while learning to do your kingdom business assignment the right way. If you go back and study the biographies of great business people, you will find out there's a part of their story that tends to get glossed over. That part of the story is typically their early years of business when they struggled or had limited success. This is the season before they had their level of success that made them famous. Then they describe their eureka moment and go into great detail in their biography on their successful years. But what was going on in their business before their eureka moment? They were probably in the right business using the wrong business model. Let's look at some familiar examples. When IBM approached Bill Gates in 1980 about developing an operating system for their upcoming PC, Bill was writing basic computer language interpreters for microprocessors, which were fairly new at the time. It was the change in Microsoft's business model from developing programming language tools to developing PC operating systems and an industry change in software license methods that took Bill Gates from entrepreneur to billionaire. So the question is, would we have ever heard of Bill Gates if he was still developing basic interpreters for PCs? You may be called to the technology industry, but you may not be in the right part of it yet or marketing it correctly. Donald Trump started in his father's real estate business that specialized in renovating and renting apartments to the post-World War II middle class. But it wasn't until Trump moved to Manhattan and started to design high-end, one-of-a-kind real estate projects for the wealthy that he made a name for himself and became successful. So would anybody have heard of Donald Trump if he was still rehabbing middle-income apartment complexes? You may be called into the real estate industry, but you may not be doing the right business deals yet or performing the correct role in that industry. Dick and Maurice McDonald are the founders of the well-known McDonald's restaurant chain, which is known throughout the world for selling fast food hamburgers. But did you know that their first drive-thru restaurants only featured hot dogs, no hamburgers? Later, they founded the McDonald's barbecue restaurant, which included hamburgers on the menu. Eventually, they saw the profitability was in the hamburgers, milkshakes, and french fries, and not in the other menu items, which they then deleted. Where would they be if they stuck with selling hot dogs through a car hop? Would anyone have ever heard of McDonald's? You may be called into the food industry, but like Colonel Sanders of Kentucky Fried Chicken, it might take you 10 years to find the perfect recipe and the method of cooking it. You might be in the right kingdom business assignment, but doing it the wrong way. If so, you are probably struggling in your business and asking the quintessential question, what's wrong? Why isn't it working? So, how do you determine the best business model for your business? I offer two suggestions. One, spend time in prayer in the presence of the Lord, seeking wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And two, make sure you have a solid business plan. Let's talk about business plans first, and then we'll look at a practical example of using biblical wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. It's unfortunate, but most business owners do not take the time to develop a professional business plan. If they do develop one early in their business, they seldom take the time to update it on a regular basis. If you ask many business owners why they don't have a well-thought-out business plan, they will tell you they lack the time or money to develop one. They fail to put a cost on the struggles they are facing in their business without a business plan. They're also neglecting to put a price on how much it costs to fail in business. A good business plan will cost between $25,000 and $50,000 if you hire someone to develop one for you. Having written business plans myself, I would question the value of any business plan that costs less than $25,000 to produce. However, if you fail in a business with the wrong business model, the losses you will incur will make the $25,000 seem insignificant. I also believe one God idea is better than 100 good ideas. Many struggling business people tell me the Lord gave them their business idea. That's great. Sometimes a God idea will be counterintuitive, like a salmon going upstream. However, if it really is a God idea, a good business plan will show the simplicity and brilliance of this God-given business idea. God ideas and business plans are not mutually exclusive. If anything, the business plan should show the non-believing world you are onto something so wonderful, only God himself could have come up with the idea in the first place. Now, let's look at seeking biblical wisdom, understanding, and knowledge to determine your correct business model. Just as it was necessary to spend significant time in his presence to get the revelation of which field of business you are called to, you must spend significant time in his presence to understand which business model you should be using. You may be called to the computer software industry, but which software product? Is your target market the consumer, business, or government sectors? Is this a niche market product or a product that will be used by everyone? How will you determine how much to charge for the product? Will it be based upon market price or cost of goods sold? What is the unique selling proposition your product offers over other solutions? If the Lord has given you this assignment, he has the answers to these questions. Spend the time necessary in his presence to get the answers and tweak and peak your business model to become successful. In the English language, we often use the terms wisdom, understanding, and knowledge synonymously. However, in the Bible, these terms have different meanings both in the Greek and Hebrew. Since there are many scriptures in the Old Testament where wisdom, understanding, and knowledge are mentioned together, I'm going to use the Hebrew definitions for these three terms. But first, here are two scriptures which use all three terms in the same scripture, showing they mean different things biblically. Exodus 35, verses 31 to 32 says, "And he has filled him," referring to Bezaleel, "with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all craftsmanship, to make designs for working in gold, and in silver, and in bronze." And in Proverbs 24, verses 3 to 4, it says, "By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches." In Hebrew, wisdom, or chokmah, is the knowledge and ability to make the right choice at the opportune time. Wisdom is knowing what to do and when to do it. It is the key to decision-making and making the right choices that will affect your future. Understanding, or rabbana, is the ability to come to understand and to reason, perceive, or discern the fruit, increase, or revenue from wisdom. Knowledge, or da'at, is the ability to know intimately and experientially, just as Adam knew Eve. I know it sounds like I'm splitting hairs here, but let's go back and look at the Bill Gates Microsoft story to understand how wisdom, understanding, and knowledge pertains to figuring out what you should be doing, your kingdom assignment, how you should be doing it, your business model, and how to become the very best at what you're doing, which is experience, so that you can take the mountain of influence the Lord has called you to. If you remember, when IBM came to call on Microsoft, Bill was developing basic language interpreters for PCs. When IBM asked Bill if he would also develop an operating system for their upcoming personal computer, he had several choices to make. He could have said, "No, that's not our expertise," and left IBM to solve their own problem. He could have also referred them to another company, which he did at first. Or he could have said yes, which is the answer he finally gave IBM. You see, wisdom told Bill an opportunity existed in developing this new PC operating system. But was this opportunity something Microsoft should be pursuing? Understanding told Bill there were only a few companies that had a PC operating system at the time, and that he had already recommended the best one to IBM. Since IBM refused to develop one themselves, even though they were considered the experts in operating systems for mainframe and mini computers, this told Bill that even though he lacked knowledge and experience to build this operating system, there were very few people who did. Should he stay in his current and limited area of programming languages, or venture out into the unknown for an awesome operating system opportunity? Making this decision is what wisdom is all about. Once Bill decided to take on the challenge of building a PC operating system, how should he go about doing it? He could develop one from scratch. After all, he was a very smart programmer with a keen mind. However, that keen mind gave him the understanding that it would be much quicker and smarter to purchase an existing PC operating system already proven and modify it to meet IBM's requirements. That decision involved his reasoning and intellect. This is what understanding will do. Understanding will combine God-given wisdom with reasoning to gain a deep level of wisdom that is generally available without using the human mind. Wisdom will often give a big picture, but understanding will often provide the details of how to execute the wisdom. Since Bill did not have intimate knowledge or experience with PC operating systems, along with purchasing the existing PC operating system, he hired several of the key people from the developer to come work for him. These key people gave Bill the experiential knowledge he would be lacking if he only purchased the software product. Bill was smart enough to know it would take years to catch up on the knowledge of PC operating systems, even if he had one himself. In order to become great at something, you must leave the classroom and become intimately knowledgeable and experienced in your field. There is no substitute for the type of knowledge which comes from practical experience and years of trial and error. If you are going to be successful in your kingdom business assignment, you're going to have to go beyond a big picture revelation of what God has called you to do. It is great to reach the point where you can say you have discovered your purpose in life and know what you should be doing. This is the wisdom you need to know your kingdom business assignment. However, to figure out how to do what you're called to do, it will require a more detailed level of wisdom and requires you to engage your mind and intellect in this project to figure out the details of your assignment. You will then have to combine hard work and good stewardship of your assignment to get the type of intimate and experiential knowledge which will distinguish you from your competitors. We often talk about how we need wisdom for our decisions, but what we really need is wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. I want to leave you with one famous example of how most successful business people started out with the wrong business model, even clung to the wrong business model before seeing the light. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb, but his contribution to bringing light to the world was by improving the design of the bulb to increase the lifespan of the bulb and make it marketable and economical for the masses. In addition to the light bulb, he was involved in many other inventions, including the phonograph, that all required one thing to allow these products to be utilized by the masses: electricity. In order to take his inventions from laboratory to the market, Edison founded the Edison Illuminating Company in Manhattan, which was based upon 110 volts direct current. Due to the limitations of direct current, each power station could only serve customers within a 1.5-mile radius of the power station. This was an acceptable business model in a large city like New York with numerous wealthy people, but was impractical for supplying power to customers more than a couple of miles from the power station, and impractical to supply power to rural areas in the country. The solution to the power distribution network was in the use of alternating current. However, Edison not only resisted the switch to alternating current, he actively fought the implementation of all AC power companies for 10 years. This was known as the Current Wars with George Westinghouse, who was developing AC power companies. Eventually, Edison saw the light, no pun intended, and his own company started to produce AC electricity. This was the business model that would allow electricity to be supplied economically to the world, which would then allow the world to purchase and use Edison's inventions. So if Edison hadn't changed the business model of his electric power distribution, his inventions would never have made it to the masses. In summary, if you haven't identified your kingdom business assignment yet, continue to do what you're currently doing, but set aside time each day in the presence of the Lord and get your assignment. Stay long enough to get the business model and not just a vague idea of the type of business or industry. Remember, very few people get their business model right when they first start their business. Seek to understand the purpose your assignment will serve in the kingdom. Become passionate about your assignment. Treat it as something you will be held accountable for. You will be. Study your competitors, do your homework, become the expert in your area. As Proverbs 22 verse 29 says, become the king's servant who does not stand before obscure men, but stands before kings to tell them about his king and the kingdom. If this video has been of some help to you, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. If there are any other topics you'd like to see discussed relating to finding the right business model, please let me know. Until then, be blessed and keep doing business His way.